Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Cinema Condition, a podcast devoted to analyzing films and what makes a movie a movie. I am your host, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, a filmmaker and film critic. Today, I am joined by Bradley Simmons, aka Young Yoda. They are the co-host of the Nerdcore podcast and my right-hand man over at the Nerdcore. And today, they have selected Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown. Hey, Brad, how are you doing today?
Hey, Raul. Hey, everybody listening. Glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well. Doing well today.
Nice to hear you, Brad. Nice to see you. It's always a treat to have you on the show, right? You're the
How
one
many
who
times have
tried
I been on this? I can't. Have I only been once or twice?
five.
I've been on this 5 times.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Come on, Brad. So
What What have we reviewed?
well, not review, but had a discussion on, right?
Had a discussion on. Yeah, this is more than a review. That's true.
Yeah, dude, you did the farewell.
Okay.
What's it called? You were on the first time you came on. Why did you? Wow.
I had to
Good.
do a Kurosawa. There was definitely
Ikiru.
Ikiru. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you were on. This is your second time in season 2. You did something before this. Um, what did you do, Brad?
Wasn't like throwing of blood or anything, was it?
No, no, no. I'm trying to look through here because I remember it was like early in the season. Um,
It definitely wasn't Inglorious Bastards because
no, that
Alex
was
got that from me.
no. Well, a different Alex. That's
Yes.
Alejandra, not Alex Flores. But yeah, Alex Flores took away Akira from you. That's the one that you were mad at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stalker. You did okay. You did Stalker. You did Ikiru. You did the farewell. You're doing this one. There's another one, Brad. There's another one that I remember that you did, dude. It was the first one you ever came on for. And what did you do?
It's gonna bother Raul.
It really is gonna
I
bother me
know,
because
Raul.
yeah, it's really gonna bother me, bro. Cause like
You edit this anyway, so
the one podcast that I actually edit, right?
yeah, the one podcast you edit, so you can edit this.
The funny thing is that I'm not gonna edit this part. I'm. It's cause like I remember these things, bro. Like Brad did those
we've
things.
been doing this for 8 years, Raul. You can be okay with not remembering one thing I didn't do.
Grave of the
Did do.
Fireflies.
Grave of the Fire.
Fireflies.
Yes, the very
Okay.
man. That's
Yes.
quite a collection right there to talk about.
Yes. Brad did Grave of the Fireflies. He did the farewell. I'm sorry. He did Ikiru. He did the farewell. Then he came on season 2 to do Stalker.
Mhm.
Now he's gonna do this one, and I will tell you all right now. I won't say which film it is, but Brad is our season finale for season 2, and we will get there when we get there. But Brad is the season finale of season 2, and we'll be doing another film. So it'll be 6 films he's done. Yeah, Brad, that took a little longer than I expected it to take.
Just remembering. I've done a few of these.
Yeah, you've done a few of these, Brad. That's a lot of good.
Quite
That's
a
some good films, though. That's a good
quite a
selection.
collection. Quite a collection we get to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
You
then,
did.
and now Jackie Brown.
Yeah, and now we're doing Jackie Brown. But what have you been up to today, man?
Watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
I cleaned some of my house, so it's a ever ongoing effort. Um, I hate cleaning my house.
You hate cleaning
Jesus.
your house.
Yeah, I swear, I clean it and then dust just appears like right after I clean it.
Yeah, understandable, Brad. Understandable. That's how it is for me too. It's like, hey, I clean my place here, and then all of a sudden shit starts to pop up again. It's like, yeah, like when am I ever gonna get a break?
Yeah, on top of that, 3 dogs shedding, and so it just, God,
Not fun.
no, and they're not small dogs either. So the 2 are 60 pounds, and the one's 92 pounds.
Yeah. Well, Brad, you gotta love them, right?
Yeah, fur and all.
I was thankful that I was supposed to have somebody who was going to be staying over this weekend with me, but then she just messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm coming down with my family, so we're gonna stay at my uncle's." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can still clean, but I don't have to clean in a hurry right now."
Yeah, you don't have to clean real good.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I gotta go and clean the bathroom and everything, clean the shower and everything. But yeah, but today's been an easy day, man. Brad's back again for his second pick of the season. We'll be doing Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown. And of course, I don't really need Brad to reintroduce himself because he's been here multiple times at this point. You guys know him. This is the one guest you all should know like pretty well if you listen to the Nerdcore
Yeah,
and you
if
listen
you
to this
know
one.
anything of what Raul does.
Yeah. So if you're here, chances are that you know who Brad is, right? Come on.
Brad's here because he's the easiest to get on here.
It's true.
It's true.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It is true. But what's it called today? What's today? Like the nerdcore content, we started a little late, um, but it's all good.
I had to get my dinner in. Like,
Yeah,
don't want me falling asleep, man.
yeah, yeah. But do expect during this show that Brad will try to break me. He will try to make me laugh or something. But I'm excited because I thoroughly believe that this is one of Quentin Tarantino's best movies. I think this is one of his most. I think this is his most underrated film.
Under fucking rated.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna
Under
have a whole
fucking rated.
discussion about all that. But
Yeah.
this was my second time watching this, and I also just remembered that Lionsgate let's just picked this one up to re-release. So I'm sure that this will be hitting the shelves as a 4K soon. So I was looking at this
I
and
might
I was
have
like,
to get that.
yeah, I was looking at when I was watching this, I was like, God, I need a 4K of this. Like,
I mean, it looks good already,
it already
but
looks
it
really
does.
good
But in a 4K, whoo,
with that proper, nice HDR treatment, so that way those colors can pop. Oh my God, yes, I can't wait for that. And I know they're doing Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 as well, so we'll see when that drops. But yeah, guys, before we actually get into the actual conversation, I have to do my introductions. But thankfully, Brad has selected a filmmaker that we've already introduced the people to. The only thing I can add is that Mr. Quentin Tarantino did say that he was going to finish up with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and as of late, that is not true. He is preparing for, he's developing his last film, his 10th film, right? It's his 10th.
last.
Yeah. Quote unquote last, right?
Last.
Yeah. He's preparing his last one. He's doing it's called the movie critic, the movie critic, and it's about a film critic, and that's about it. It's like we don't know what it's gonna
I'm
be
guessing
about.
it's not a Life and Times of Cisco and Ebert. That's
No.
I'm gonna guess not.
Highly doubt it, Brad.
Knowing Tarantino, it's about a movie critic who gave a bad review, and it goes from there.
Yeah. It's gonna be some sort of blood. It's gonna be feet. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely feet. There's always feet.
Yeah. Yeah. If this is, you'll know if this is really his last one if he just decides to go all out and like really do all of the Tarantino stuff in this one. In this
Just
last
so
one.
many feet shots.
Like
just a copious amount of feet.
Yeah, so much blood. The N word's gonna get dropped like 500 times instead.
Kurt Russell acting crazy in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. At least as long as we don't see him eating nachos again.
Or Uma Thurman driving. Don't need to see that either. But definitely not Kurt Russell eating nachos.
Yeah.
I've shown that to people, and I get either that's gross or those nachos look fucking tasty, and I'm just like, y'all are gross.
Well, they're gross, bro. No, I can't, bro. That scene makes me.
It's just shoveling that in.
It's funny because like we've seen every single film from Quentin Tarantino at this point. Have we reviewed everyone on the Nerdcore? Not yet, but dude, that one scene makes me more uncomfortable than most of what's in his filmography.
It's just so disgusting. And this coming from a dude who's had multiple violent fight scenes with blood and guts and all that. And the worst thing I've seen him do is have Kurt Russell eat nachos.
Have Kurt Russell eat fucking nachos, bro. It's disgusting, but
if you want to watch it, go watch Death Proof, which is a fantastic movie, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic movie. But yeah, so we have no introduction for Quentin Tarantino, so we're gonna go ahead and just go straight into our film introduction. So here's what I wrote about Jackie Brown. The film is based on the novel Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard. After completing Pulp Fiction, Tarantino and Roger Avery acquired the film rights to 3 Elmore Leonard novels: Rum Punch, Freaky Deaky, and Kill Shot. At first, directing Rum Punch was not in the plans, as he was leaning more towards Freaky Deaky or Kill Shot. But after rereading Rum Punch, he fell back in love with the novel, and Kill Shot was eventually adapted to the silver screen by the same producer as Jackie Brown. Quentin Tarantino changed the race of the protagonist from white to black, along with the name from Burke to Brown in the development stage. He didn't discuss the changes with Leonard, and when he finally had the chance to speak to him, Elmore Leonard loved the screenplay and went as far to say that it was the best screenplay he had read. Even though the film has a lot of blaxploitation influence, Tarantino does not consider Jackie Brown a blaxploitation film. The film makes a lot of references to Pam Grier's career, like Coffee and Foxy Brown, which you guys, I was telling Brad, if you go look at Foxy Brown's poster, it is the same font that Quentin Tarantino used for this one.
I mean, when Tarantino steals, he just outright steals.
Yep. Tarantino recreates the opening scene of The Graduate by having Pam Grier pass through the Los Angeles International Airport to a Simon and Garfunkel song. Pam Grier was the only option that Tarantino wanted to play the titular character, but was previously read for Jodie instead. Tarantino did not believe that Eric Stoltz would yell at her, so the role of Jodie was not given to Grier. Grier did not expect Quentin Tarantino to contact her after the success of Pulp Fiction. And also, I would like to note that when Pam Grier went to go audition for him, Quentin Tarantino had a lot of posters of Pam Grier's movies hung up. And Pam Grier actually asked him if he did that because she was coming in, and which Quentin Tarantino responded that he was actually gonna take him down because she was gonna come in. Yep.
Tarantino's a fan.
Yeah. The guy definitely worked at a video store.
Yep.
Sylvester Stallone passed on the role of Louis Gara, and Tarantino considered Paul Newman, Gene Hackman, and John Saxon for the role of Max Cherry before he casted Robert Forster. The film received a nomination at the Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor for Robert Forster. The film was released on December 25th, 1997. Lots of really cool information there, Brad. I really like that John Forster was the one who ended up playing Max Cherry.
Robert Forster.
I'm sorry.
Cool.
But I just watched The Hustler for an episode of the Cinema Condition.
You getting the Paul Newman vibes?
So I was like, oh my God, I wonder what Paul Newman would have done in that role. Like,
Oh, Paul Newman wasn't just the dude on the salad dressing.
no,
That dude could act.
that dude was a seriously good actor, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this, like, also Gene Hackman, bro. Like, imagine Gene Hackman playing that role.
Here's the thing, though, is Tarantino has this ability to take these actors whose careers basically people have said are done. Like, they're finished. They're through. Look at John Travolta. Everybody thought John Travolta was kind of just, his career was getting to the end there when Tarantino came in and got him for Pulp Fiction. That's the same for Robert Forster. And he'll admit it. Like, I think Robert Forster was big in, like, cop shows and cowboy shows and all that back in the day. And he was even considering kind of just retiring. And then I think Tarantino came and had this role for him. And then Robert Forster was in, God, he was in everything until his final days. He was in Breaking Bad's movie.
Yeah. Robert Forster, he was at a really dry time in his career, and this really reinvigorated it. And
I've always admired that about Tarantino. He goes out and he finds either these people who should be on the screen and more eyes should be seen on them, or these people whose everybody thinks your career's dead, and he's like, no, I'm not through, and you're not through yet.
yeah,
So I'm going to put you on the screen. And I mean, look at this movie, and you look at Pam Grier and Robert Forster, and Pam Grier was probably thinking of retiring too. She was kind of, she'd been around a while.
yeah.
And then this movie comes out.
Well, you're nearing the end of the '90s, and it's when kind of like the blaxploitation genre has really like gone down, and that's what Pam Grier was known for the most. It was her roles in those blaxploitation films, and her amount that she was like, it's really gonna die. The genre really starts to die like going into the 2000s, and this also kind of does like reinvigorate her career as well. And she even said like she was a big fan of Pulp Fiction, and she didn't expect Tarantino to want to cast her in this, and
Well,
he did.
Tarantino even put her in a Pulp Fiction suit there at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But Brad, why did you select Jackie Brown?
I want to select Jackie Brown before anyone else could select it before me. Honestly, because I had Inglorious Bastards ripped from me, just like I
Yeah.
had Akira ripped from me. So I was like, I'm going to talk about Jackie Brown because when people bring up Tarantino, they don't bring up Jackie Brown.
No.
It's never really brought up in his collection of movies, and it is one of his most underrated movies. It is so good. I've seen this movie probably 4 or 5 times now. It is so good. Just the way he films this, the way the dialogue is. It's probably some of his best dialogue in certain scenes. The where you have Sam Jackson, Chris Tucker there, the whole trunk scene. That's some of the best dialogue in the world.
Yeah. This is the one, and like, right, kind of look. You got to look at the whole picture here. You've got Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inglourious Bastards. All of these films. This one and The Hateful Eight are the ones that get lost in the shuffle the most.
But people still bring up Hateful Eight, not as
Yeah,
much as the others. No, but I feel like Jackie Brown just never gets brought
never.
up.
They never. And they always say like, "Oh, it's his weakest movie." And honestly, after rewatching it, man,
Mm.
I can't agree on that. I honestly think that his weakest, even though it's such a great movie, man, I think his weakest is Reservoir Dogs.
Which is his first. Which I mean, the thing with
It's so
Reservoir Dogs,
good though.
I, thing with Reservoir Dogs, great dialogue. Like you can specifically tell Tarantino is the king of dialogue, but there are parts of that movie they're not the best filmed. I
Hmm.
mean, it was his first, so not much money to it. So it doesn't look the greatest as
Yeah,
compared in these future films. And you look at Jackie Brown and just the colors pop in this film, and it's just an amazing looking movie.
yeah, and like Death Proof as well. Like Death Proof is pretty damn good, but I wouldn't put it up to the level of any of these other
No,
films. But
I like Death Proof for whole other reasons,
yeah,
but is it one of Tarantino's best? No. I
but
mean,
like
it's a fun
yeah,
movie.
but revisiting this today, I was like, dude, this is one of his best. Like this really is
Just
one of his
that
best.
entrance scene where it's Jackie going through the airport,
Yeah,
and she's not walking. She's like on the moving
the
sidewalk.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's the wall behind her, and then you get that shot a few more times about her walking, and
yeah,
you're like you get like the white wall, and then you get a blue wall at the end, and it's a lot of good framing. It's a lot of good just editing
yeah.
throughout this movie. Like Tarantino, that's what I mean. I think this is underrated.
Super underrated. Well, I'm glad you selected it. Like I said, this is one of my favorite movies from Tarantino. It's one that man, I can't get enough of this one, man. Like I say, the frame, the cinematography, the soundtrack. I think it's one of his best soundtracks.
Oh, just that old. It's either seventies
Well, it's a
music.
bunch of black exploitation soundtracks.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, and then I got to bring up Sam Jackson as Ordell Roby. That man is the devil. He plays the devil so good, and people don't bring up this Sam Jackson. He plays such an evil character in this, and he's evil because he's manipulative, and he's just the way he moves and interacts with stuff. Like when he's going in there to talk to Jackie, and he's at the light, and he just slowly dims that light till it's off. I mean, it's some terrific writing and directing and just overall acting by Sam Jackson there. And then also, the balls in Tarantino to cast Robert De Niro in the one role where Robert De Niro barely fucking speaks.
yes, he barely speaks in this role,
Yeah, he's just
and
getting
yet,
high.
his presence is felt throughout the whole thing.
Oh, especially the end there. It's like that character. Like I don't know. It's like a building tension with that character. When he comes in, he's just getting stoned with Bridget Fonda's character Melanie. He's just getting stoned with her. He has sex with her. He's just out of prison. He's having a good time. But the tension that builds and builds and builds until finally it just bursts with him shooting Melanie.
Yeah, he's a ticking time bomb, and
Yeah.
like it's not the most nuanced or greatest performance that he's ever given, but it's one that's like really patient, and like if you just stick around for the ride that is this film, you're gonna be left so satisfied with his work in this movie.
And it's so different. It's so different from a normal Robert De Niro, casting.
Yeah,
That's why I like it. Because I mean, like I said, Robert De Niro usually the one talking. He's the lead. He's the one taking charge in there and making that movie go. In this, he's kind of, he's not even, the second actor really. He's not even like he's kind of just there. And it doesn't get until the end to you realize why he's there.
yeah, yeah. Well, Brad, thanks. Like I said, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films. I think this is one that I think we'll have a really good conversation. I think that what's it called? You selecting this is pretty ballsy because like no one's gonna select. No, like as long I know you're saying like, yo, like I don't want anybody to take it from me. But let's be honest, like I look at this. I think that people would select Kill Bill before they ever select
I
this.
mean, granted, I one of the that was kind of a joking reason, but one of the reasons especially is like you said, no, you're probably right. Nobody would select this, which is the problem.
Yeah,
More people should select this. More people should know about this.
yeah,
This is a terrific Tarantino film.
it really is. Well, Brad, if you're ready, then I am ready too.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, this is our conversation on Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown. So we start this film with the stewardess Jackie Brown. She is going through the LA airport. She first starts like she just moves. She's pretty calm and collected, but as you get more into it in the beginning, she starts to get a little more antsy. Starts to hurry up. In your mind, you think like, okay, she's what's it called, in trouble or something. No, she's going to her job. She's running a little late. She works for an airline that flies to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico, which we learned that is a very cheap airline.
Think
And
Spirit Airlines, but
yeah,
worse.
yeah, Spirit Airlines without the fights. But yeah, and but as we continue the film, we start to know we find out that that Jackie's involved in some shady shit, and she meets up with Sam Jackson, and the story unravels itself as we have a sort of like heist situation, and we start to uncover the truth behind these characters. And I wanted to first start this conversation off, Brad, because this is, look, if it's true that the movie Critic is his last movie, then this will be the only movie that Tarantino has adapted a book for. And even then, I already read in the introduction, he changed a lot of stuff about this movie. Well, some stuff about this book. He changed the race, he changed the name, but I wanted to bring up that because I think it's so interesting because before this he has two films, two very original movies. One got him a freaking best original screenplay nomination and a win. So he decides to do a different approach here, and he decides to actually adapt a book this time, and it's very different from what Quentin Tarantino's writing style is, because when you watch this whole film, it's not the same fast-paced, kind of a fast-paced type of delivery of the dialogue, like you find in Quentin in Pulp Fiction and in
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. This one feels very different, and I wanted to us to start off with that and see just how he kind of grows his legacy from here after having adapted a book.
I mean, I think the dialogue throughout this movie is probably some of his best, especially of his early work.
Oh yeah,
And you can tell just the interactions you're having, like just boom, 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 boom. It's almost like a common fatty, like boom, 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 yada, yada, yada. For this, it's like very deliberate, the lines being said, what's happening, and it's very important to the plot. Reservoir Dogs, sometimes you're just talking shit. And that's, I mean, Pulp Fiction too. But this, it's very deliberate on what's going on. The cops there, when they say their dialogue and Jackie says her dialogue back, it's Jackie trying not to give up too much. It's the cops trying to get what they can. Jackie's now worried about Ordell.
yeah,
and she knows about Beaumont. She knows Beaumont gave him up. So, and you get that from this really well written dialogue.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, Tarantino just, tries to stay faithful to the book, right? He tries to, like, because I've never read the book, but he tries to, like, stay to this book that he's adapting, but he's also trying to find a way to mesh it with the style that he's, been making for these last two films he's made. And honestly, I think that it meshes well. I think that
Yeah.
he finds a way to bring these interesting plot points about the book and be able to make it into Tarantino fashion.
I mean, you can just see some of the shots that he does in this. You see those shots in Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs.
Yep.
You get the one with all the people, and it's kind of like the overhead shot that's in there in the mall. I mean, you get these other shots where it's following not necessarily their whole body, but the bag or some certain part of them. Like you still get the Quentin Tarantino style, and I mean, like I've always liked it, and people said, "Oh, it's just Tarantino stealing stuff." Well, if you're gonna steal it, at least make it good.
Yeah, and that's look. Like I read, y'all, the opening scene is literally cut for cut from for The Graduate,
But
but
doesn't it fit in this?
it's such an effective way to
Yep.
introduce Jackie because you're like,
Just her on the moving sidewalk
yeah,
with the some great music just playing, and you're just and that's one way to bring into a character and make you actually care about a character is put her on the screen for a couple minutes without even her saying a word.
yeah, and you see that's where I think that the power of Tarantino being the one who's adapting this comes into play because like, yes, Tarantino loves what's it called? Like obviously Tarantino loves this book. He fell in love with it again. It's the reason why he selected it to
Yeah.
adapt. But Tarantino, I'm pretty sure when Tarantino was watching this, he was also thinking about it in a cinematic way. And that's what makes him such a great cinematic artist. Because the book probably doesn't start like this. It probably does not.
Probably not.
Yeah. But he's just like, okay, but how can I introduce you all to Jackie and make you kind of already start thinking about the fact that she might be in some sort of trouble? Well, let me have her just go through the what's it called
The
through
airport.
the airport like in The Graduate, and as she's getting closer going into work, she's starting to hurry up, which your mind just immediately goes into, oh, somebody's following her, she's in trouble, and
Something's going on.
you already have the idea that this girl is gonna be in some trouble in this film.
And did you see? And this would never happen nowadays. That woman skirted right past security.
Yeah,
That would never,
that wouldn't fly
never in
by.
a millions happen now.
No, would not fly by now. Um, definitely would not, because TSA would have had her like, no, 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 come back, come back. Yep.
Yeah, come back, put your bag through, and they
Yeah,
make everybody do that now. So honestly, this movie can be made today because of this and the fact that malls are going extinct.
pretty much. Yeah, but yeah, I wanted to bring that up in here because like I just think that the challenge that he poses himself by adapting a book, but also having to adapt it into Tarantino fashion, it ends up working out really good for him here. And it
And
makes me wonder why he just doesn't, why he never adapted again.
that's a good question. I mean, but Tarantino can write. That's another thing. Tarantino can just and unless he gets the idea or reads something that he really wants to adapt, I doubt Tarantino's going to do it because honestly, he's probably got a shit ton of half finished scripts just all over the place.
Yeah,
Um, and that's probably why he didn't. I mean, like I'm going to bring up Kurosawa because I got to bring up the Emperor. Kurosawa was known to adapt books. Like he adapted Macbeth, he adapted a shit ton of other, but most of
yeah,
his movies are book adaptations, as people don't know.
yeah. But
And that's fine. And sometimes you get some of these little gems of someone doing something different, and this is Tarantino doing something different.
yeah, yeah. Well, the next thing I wanted to do these two ties before we actually go into like the meat of the film because I wanted to us to talk about because I know that Tarantino doesn't consider this a black exploitation film, but dude, it's there. All of it is there. And I'm gonna go ahead and read to you all the Wikipedia definition of black exploitation in case you all don't know, because it is a very what's it called different genre. And if you all do want an example, think about the Dolomite films. The Dolomite films are black exploitation films, and Blaxploitation is an ethnic subgenre of the exploitation film that emerged in the United States during the early 1970s. The term, a portmanteau of the words black and exploitation, was coined in August 1972 by Junius Griffin, the president of the Beverly Hills Hollywood NAACP branch. He claimed the genre was proliferating offenses to the black community in its perpetuation of stereotypes often involved in crime. The genre does rank among the first after the race films in the 1940s and 1960s, in which black characters and communities are the protagonists and the subjects of the film and television, rather than sidekicks, antagonists of victims or victims of brutality. The genre's inception coincides with the rethinking of race relations in the 1970s. So if you kind of look at the backbone of what Jackie Brown is, it is. It's like I get why he doesn't want to consider it, right?
Yeah,
Because
I mean, based on that definition, there's a bunch of negatives thrown in there. Like that's, and I think you got to go back to that one Sam Jackson interview where Sam Jackson just gets horribly mad at an interviewer when he's asking, he's like, should Tarantino be able to use the N word? And Sam Jackson basically tells him Tarantino was only to one during the '90s putting black leads, strong black leads, in those roles at that time.
yeah,
And do I think Tarantino should use the N word as much as he does? No,
probably no.
personally not. But that's not my call. I mean, I'm not writing these movies either. But if Sam Jackson's right. Tarantino was putting strong black leads
Yeah,
in these movies in the '90s when no one else was doing it.
yeah, and like I was gonna say, and when you look at Jackie Brown, like yes, it does meet the definition of like what's it called, by word, but you look at Jackie Brown, you look at Dolomite. It's not the same movie. You look
Completely
at
different.
Jackie Brown, you look at Shaft. It
I,
is
I, I I mean, and
nuts.
and there are parts of black exploitation in this. There is the whole gun running. There are drugs. There is violence,
Yeah,
black on black violence. But Odell is literally Ordell is literally the devil in this movie. Like,
yeah, yeah. Our two main
he's
characters are black.
yeah,
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 Sam Jackson and Pam Grier, our two main characters, are black.
and
And
but they're written so strongly.
yeah,
Like Pam Grier. Pam Grier is never seen as weak throughout this movie.
no,
Even when you think she's about to be, she's holding a gun to Sam Jackson's nuts.
yeah. And it's just like it's like so different because like you look at so like you look at the other film he's made. You look at Django Unchained. Django Unchained, the whole journey is to get to that point where Jamie Foxx's character is the hero.
Yep.
But here, from the freaking moment it starts, Pam Grier's Jackie Brown, her presence felt she is the top bitch in this film.
Oh yeah. She is the lead role
Yeah,
of all of them. The
yeah,
fucking lead.
yeah,
If Pam Grier doesn't do what she does in this movie, this is a shit movie. I don't care how much Sam Jackson is the villain in this. Like Sam Jackson puts on a freaking, freaking
masterclass.
spectacular, a spectacle. I mean, the man is absolute villain in this, and I love every minute of it. But I love Pam Grier more in this
Yeah,
because she owns this movie.
yeah. And like it also makes me wonder, Brad, like what would a straight up black exploitation film by Tarantino look like? Because like if this isn't even him trying to make a black exploitation film and him just making like his references to the ones that he loves, I could
I,
only imagine what it would have looked like if he
I
said, you know
feel
what?
like it would be like this conglomeration of Death Proof in this movie in some form,
Yeah,
because you look at Death Proof, and that one is just so out there, and that's because it's a grindhouse film. And I feel like grindhouse and black exploitation, they're not the same genre, but they're probably like running along the same lines.
yeah. Yeah, well, they both got their big what's it called start in the 70s. Black
Yeah,
exploitation and the grindhouse films, and even though they don't share like similarities in the way that the film works itself, the films work themselves
but the
out.
look of it, the looks of them,
Yeah,
yeah, because the very low budget, just film as you go.
yeah. Hey, look at Dolomite, bro. That is not a one of a medium budget film. That is as low as it can get.
Yeah,
So, Yeah, man. I think that he just works the blaxploitation genre so well here. Even though he's not doing a straight up job here, he does manage to create this atmosphere where he really does explore the not just black identity, but the way that black people were interacting at the
Hmm.
time that this movie is out. It's like look at it, bro. Like freaking, and we'll talk about it as when we get into the conversation about Ordell. But like Ordell has a strong black lead, a strong black woman here in this film, which dude, that doesn't really happen all that often. Like to have a strong black woman in the front of your film to be the one who leads it is crazy at
Especially
that
in the
time.
'90s.
Yeah, especially in the '90s. And you have like a really strong black antagonist, and and then he has the balls to put like that Sharonda, who is obviously a image of what the government is doing at the time to the communities in like Compton, California, with
Yeah,
the with
she's an addict.
yeah. So it's
That's what
like
they're portraying.
so like hey man, like I get it when people say like he shouldn't be saying he's obviously has his like his things that are like obviously wrong about Tarantino and the way that he creates his films. But Sam Jackson is so right when he says this stuff. Like nobody was casting black leads like this. Like nobody is like look at a film from the '90s by a white guy and tell me if you can count with your hand how many of them were able to put as much about the black community during the '90s in the films like this that were written and directed by a white guy. Chances are it's not very limited.
I don't. I can't. Nope. I can't really think of any.
No, no. But
We've seen a lot of movies too,
we've seen a
so
lot of movies too, man. But
I'm
God,
sure they exist. But I'm sure on your two
there were
hands you can
major
probably count them.
productions, Brett. There were major
No, not
productions.
major
No,
productions. No,
no, no.
nothing. Not major productions. So
Yeah,
no, Tarantino was definitely in a league of his own on this one.
yeah. Well, I want to talk about three characters specifically in this next part. But I want to start off with Max Cherry, played by Robert Forster. Uh, Max Cherry, he's a bond salesman, a bail bond salesman, and he, when we first meet him, he kind of looks like he's out of it, man. Like he's just like, he's
He's
kind of
just
like,
there.
he's like done with his job. Like he doesn't really care about this job all that
Well,
much.
and he relays that he's done over 15,000 bonds. I'd be fucking done too.
I'd be done too, Red. I'd be done
Whew.
too. But Max Jerry's kind of like down in his luck. He's kind of over this job. He first meets Ordell first, and he's kind of a pushover with Ordell. Like like he shouldn't be letting him like let's go have his feet up on like the table or like the fact that somebody tells Jackie to stop smoking. Well, the cops tell her to stop smoking, but Max doesn't have the balls to tell Ordell to stop smoking in there.
Well,
It's just
I think, and at least from my opinion, so Max is trying to get the feel of Odell, and so that I think that's more of why he doesn't do that.
yeah,
He's figuring because that's what he does. He figures out, you know, he's a bail bondsman, so that's what he does with criminals. Is he looks them over, he tries to figure out if they're going to run or not. Because if they run, he has to go get them, and then
yeah.
or they bail on their tab, and that's it. So that was my take. I didn't feel him as a pushover. I felt more he was trying to read Odell
And you
or
can
Ordell.
yeah, and like he's been in the business for long now. Like you heard, so he's been able to to study and to really like get to know criminals, to
Yeah,
be able to understand them. And but you can't just sit here and say that, like he definitely was out of it. He's like I'm done with this job. This job brings me no
yeah,
more
he didn't really care.
satisfaction. He doesn't care anymore. And things change
Just
for
a
him when
paycheck.
things change for him when he meets Jackie Brown.
I was that whole scene where he goes to pick her up and she's walking through the prison right there,
Hmm.
and you can just tell he's like the way Tarantino films is. Like Max Cherry is interested.
Yeah, he's checking her out.
Yeah,
Wait, and he's like, okay, this is
and then he's
different.
trying to get her to go to a bar, and she's just like, "Look, I've been in county for like fucking 3 days. Like my
Yeah.
hair is not it."
And it's like I said, like it's why the writing here is just genius, man. Like even in that moment where Max Cherry ideally is the one who has the power in this situation because she's supposed to bail, picking her
Yeah, he's
up,
driving her home.
driving her home, and yet Pam Grier here, Jackie Brown is the one that is in control of the situation.
Hmm. So in control of the situation that when she gets out and leaves, Max Cherry gives her his gun,
Yeah,
even though in a future scene says that was illegal.
yeah. Well, and then and you notice in the other films, like Max Cherry obviously really does fall for her because he calls her back, calls her and doesn't answer. She doesn't answer. Leaves a voicemail, and she gives him his phone number, his beeper number,
Hmm.
and his work number.
Yeah, this man had a thing for Jackie Brown.
Yeah, thing for Jackie Brown, bro.
Yeah,
Look, I understand.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. I don't blame him one bit. But yeah. So we kind of get this sense that Max Cherry is, even though he's down in his luck and he's kind of like over his work, meeting Jackie Brown really does change a lot for him. And in to an extent, he's the only one that doesn't really cross Jackie.
When he's the only one offering like actual help.
Yeah,
Like when she first gets in that car, he like is trying to talk to her about the whole process and what she needs to do. He's the only one like really offering help. And it was kind of nice in that ending scene that we get with Jackie and Max Cherry, and we'll probably talk this in, but where she asked him, I hope you don't think that I was, trying to manipulate you.
yeah, we're
And
leading you on,
that
right?
yeah, that whole and that whole scene is great too.
Yeah, and it changes him for the best. But and I bring this up because if this was any other film, Brad, any other film, the roles would be reversed, right? It would be Jackie
Yes.
Brown who is like chasing over Max Cherry. Max Cherry is like very cool, calm, collective, poised man who has everything figured out. And yet the roles are reversed here. Robert Forster plays him to a fucking T and really shows just this man who is looking for something, so that way some sort of new light and new umph to get out of life right here
Yeah.
because nothing is cutting it for him anymore.
And you know, Max Cherry falls for a strong black woman. That's, I mean,
Yeah, and not in like any other film. Not in the sense like
no,
Jackie Brown's
no,
not.
because you go back, you think of Casablanca.
Yeah,
That male lead is the big strong hero type
yeah,
and gets the woman at the end. Not this. It's Jackie Brown who can have any man she wants, and Max Cherry if he wanted. I it leaves it open ended there at the end.
yeah, yeah. But we what's called Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown, steward. She's a stewardess, and I just like I said, I know we've been talking about it here, but just the way that Jackie Brown is presented to us, like her right off the bat, straight position. She's what's it called, collected. We can tell that this woman means fucking business.
Oh yeah,
Like she is not about these games, especially and I have to bring it up when Michael Keaton and the other guy meet her in the parking lot.
and speaking of other people falling for her,
Yeah,
freaking Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Yep. She's what's it called? They're like they want to like search her thing, and she's like right off the bat, she's like, "No, if you ain't got a warrant, you gotta be searching." And it's like I said, if this was any other film, Jackie Brown would not be in the situation where she's able
No,
to
she
call the
would have just
shots.
handed the bag over, or they would have taken the bag, and that would have been that.
Yeah,
But and that's another thing throughout this movie is there's moments where everyone's like, "Oh, I'm scaring Jackie," or "Jackie's scared," and Jackie Brown is not scared one iota
no.
throughout this whole damn movie.
Well, because throughout this whole film, and to an extent, Jackie is worried about Max Cherry, but not to like the most where she's like, oh my God, I can't get out of here without Max. Like, no, there's only one part, and it's because it was gonna affect her more than it was gonna affect Ordell. When she's at the mall, when they were doing the whole thing at the mall,
Hmm.
and Sharonda's the one who shows up along with Simone,
Yeah,
and that pisses off Jackie.
that pisses her off. You're right. That is the only moment because the plan changed.
Yeah,
Because Jackie had spoken to Ordell, she had made this plan, and Ordell had fucking switched it, and that pissed her off.
and it's so, and like I said, it's such a great part in there, because even Ordell's kind of like chill, like I don't want to, like he doesn't want to make her mad.
No, I don't want to make her mad.
Yeah, and it's like he understands that, like, that what Jackie Brown brings to the table for this whole mission that he's trying to finish. And yes, he is ready to cross Jackie as soon as possible, as soon as this gets finished.
Oh, he was
But
ready to
Jackie,
strangle her.
but in that situation, even though Jackie is real mad, she's still in control.
Hmm. Well, because she still had like, I think, um, you have to look at this deeper and be like, Jackie's smart. Jackie on the fly
Super
can
smart.
make decisions. She can change. She can roll with the plan. She can change the plan, and Jackie's gonna end up with whatever Jackie wants. That's that's how this movie is.
Yeah. Well, and like that's like you said, and it's what, like you said, she's gonna end up with what she wants, right? And that's shown not just in like the whole sense of this heist, but the fact that, okay, so she can't work at these top airlines. She still wants to work as a stewardess.
Yeah,
So
and so
she goes to work for a bottom of the line company.
yeah, which only pays 16,000 a year, but Ordell kind of compensates that with her bringing over, or I'm not sure the whole, like, all we got to see was Jackie bringing in the money. I'm not sure if she was bringing guns over there or how
Yeah,
that was working.
it's kind of like really open ended.
Yeah, because it might be Beaumont was the one bringing guns over to Mexico, and then Jackie was bringing the cash over.
Yeah,
It might have been an instance of that. That was kind of sounded off there in the little bit we got of Beaumont.
yeah. Anything else you want to bring up about the character of Jackie Brown?
This is one of the strongest characters I think I've ever seen on screen, and I say that just because she's never scared. And you're right. The only time she's even a little bit off is when she's mad, and
Yeah.
she's literally mad. She's not scared at Ordell. She's literally going into someone who tried to kill her days ago and telling him to stop fucking up the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one of the strongest characters I think written probably by Tarantino and might ever, because I don't know. Have you seen a strong character like this, like
For Tarantino?
from Tarantino? I mean, Tarantino has always had strong
I
like
mean,
female roles.
so like strong female characters, probably not. But the only one that I'd say that like is as well written and well performed is fucking Hans Landa.
Mm,
Yeah, because like, and it's the same thing as in here. Like throughout the whole film, Hans is in control.
yeah,
Even when you
yep.
think you've got one up on him, Hans is
And
still in control.
see, and the thing with Ordell is it always the film kind of points out Ordell should be the one in charge, and that's how he kind of starts out. Like, oh, Ordell's in charge; he's making the shots.
Yeah.
But then Jackie comes in, and Ordell even says, "Jackie's not a criminal. Like, she's a stewardess. She doesn't know." Ordell doesn't understand Jackie Brown, and that's what's great.
But the thing is that Ordell is in over his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the
The
one thing
moment
Melanie,
yeah.
the one truthful thing Melanie said.
True. Yep. We meet Ordell from the beginning. Like when we meet Ordell, we get it from there. Because, first of all, any other villain would not be afraid to, the moment that Melanie tells her, like, it's for you, go pick it up. Any other villain would have gotten up there, slapped the fuck out of her, and tell her to go get that phone.
Oh no, any other villain would have ripped her out and thrown her out.
Thrown her out, right?
Freaking house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ordell is in over his head. He doesn't really understand what's going down here. He just thinks he's the big shot because he thinks he's this big weapons dealer in the U.S.
I mean, the man's got confidence. I give him that.
Yeah. Enough to be wearing that ponytail. Hell yeah, bro.
Man, that ponytail looked bad.
Yep.
But that man had confidence, and that's what took that man so far is that confidence.
Yeah, but and he's just there. He's bragging to Lewis about all these things, and you can tell that Lewis just don't give a shit about
Lewis
that.
don't give a shit. Lewis got out of prison and he's
Yeah,
looking at the freaking Bridget Fonda.
yeah.
That's all Lewis is caring about right then is get a drink and look at Bridget Fonda.
And there's where you learn that Ordell just cares about the image. He doesn't care about being this top criminal. He doesn't care about controlling the weapons. What's it called? The
Well,
sales
no,
in the U.S.
he wants to. He drives a was it a BMW? Drives a nice car. He owns a house on the beach at Hermosa Beach. If you've ever been to Hermosa Beach, it's fucking nice.
Yeah, and then he has other places. He has some in Compton.
Yep.
He has them in these other places, and it's just like the only time you see that Ordell is actually really serious about his business is in the beginning when he whacks Beaumont.
Yeah. Because he's afraid Beaumont's going to spill the beans on him.
Yeah, but the whole time throughout this movie, when Ordell should be super serious about the fact that he's trying to get this heist done, he's still somehow bragging about himself.
And honestly, like this movie could have ended probably in 30 minutes if Ordell would have just come back after Jackie fell asleep.
Yeah, and it's because yes, Ordell's in and out of his head, but also Ordell is just revolved around people who are way smarter than him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the only one who wasn't was the one he got rid of, and that's Beaumont.
yeah,
And yeah. And yeah, Lewis. Actually, the ones who aren't as smart as him ended up dead before him.
yeah. And it's like, yes, Lewis, his progression and where he ends up. But yeah, it's super smart for him to notice the fact that he's there in the club in the bar and he's like telling him do you even trust this girl? And when Ordell tells him what he says, I trust her because I know that she doesn't want me around.
I know that she's untrustworthy. I trust her
untrustworthy.
because I know her.
And
Is
you
basically
can
what he said.
tell from Robert De Niro's facial expressions,
Just like what the
he's
fuck?
like, this guy's stupid. And even Melanie believes that. He's like, this guy
And
doesn't
I
know what he's doing.
I feel bad for De Niro's character because he was the most fucking loyal.
He was.
He was so
Mhm.
goddamn loyal, and that's what
Everybody
got him
else.
killed.
Yup. Everybody else does not have Ordell's interest at heart at all,
Except Lewis.
except Lewis. And Ordell's the one who kills Lewis.
Yeah. Then the brakes, man.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you put your trust in like evil people.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes for a really interesting villain because if he was just straight up bad guy who likes being a criminal, it'd be a boring film. But in this, and of course, it's probably has to do with the book, right? But Ordell has all these different things that make him a really nuanced character.
I mean, and I think Sam Jackson really brings this character to life because when we first see him and he kills Beaumont and he goes over, and this is before Jackie Brown pulls the gun on him,
Yeah.
and he's just standing in the doorway and he just gets this nice big evil smile on him.
Yeah.
And he goes over and just to walk and he's putting on the gloves. And he did that for Beaumont. He puts on the gloves. He does that when he walks to Jackie's house. He puts on the gloves. And then the subtle turning the lights down. And he walks in the kitchen and Jackie's in there with the fridge open. I mean, just that whole the tension you get from that. And just like Ordell is not a good guy to put your trust in or turn your back on.
Yeah.
But Jackie does that the whole time. Jackie doesn't care that the lights are off. Like she knows he's up to no good. So
Yeah.
that's where Jackie's got it on. Ordell thinks he's smarter than everyone.
And
That's
I
what it comes
think
down to.
what's it called? What I think what Jackie probably is the most scared of about Ordell isn't even about him, right? It's the fact that he's so stupid that he might actually fuck up this plan just for himself.
Oh, or he just might, he just might fuck it up for himself, or he'll just because it's him. And yeah,
Yeah.
Ordell is stupid.
Yeah.
we
It's like
we don't really get that in the beginning, but after,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's like, yes, he's such a great villain and he's such a scumbag and he's so
his
slimy.
overconfidence and his ego and his pride is what takes him down.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Um, but I really wanted to bring up. I know that we talk about the weapons dealing, but I really did want to bring up how it's presented. I really wanted to bring up the tape that they're watching. The whole like,
Girls with guns.
if that isn't the most '90s shit ever, bro.
90s. That's like a
'70s,
forever
'80s,
time.
yeah,
That's now time. You go on YouTube, you can find girls with guns.
yeah. But it's just like, of course, weapons dealing is a huge thing, especially in this time, where they're trying to bring in what's it called the AKs from the what's it called well, they're bringing it in from the Middle East, but the Soviet Union is the one who introduces it into the Middle East, and he's there, he's showing Lewis, and he's like teaching them all these things like, oh, this is what a Tech 9 is, this is what an AK is, this is what a AUG is, and like you really do see how it really is ingrained in American culture in this, like how this arms dealing, they like you see it. All those women are wearing American flag bikinis.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah.
Most of them, they're holding these big guns. They're these sexy women with guns,
All I needed
and
was a giant eagle on their shoulder, and you fucking had it.
yep, yep, yep. But what's it called, the heist itself, and the fact that like just the way that they were going about the whole taking the money through the airline, which is like very much a thing that was coming out of the 80s with the Colombian drug trade, because
Hmm.
what's it called, when Pablo just had too much
Too much money.
coke.
He had so much.
Yeah,
Pablo had so much money, he was putting it into storage units and was getting eaten by mice.
yeah,
Millions of dollars
yeah.
every month, just eaten by mice.
So instead of having, so when he was having difficulty sending the merchandise through what's it called through like the street, and because people were getting stopped in the what's it called on the road, he thought about, well, what about airplanes? And in here, like you see that, like obviously, we don't know exactly what she's taking and what she's getting
Yeah,
money for,
we don't get into the details really on that.
but it's such a product of the time that we're discussing, because it's like, yeah, during this time is when they started really using the planes.
Hmm. And they would, I mean, especially Colombia and
Yeah,
Pablo,
yeah,
that was very well known. And actually, Ordell, you look at Ordell and you kind of look at Pablo Escobar.
yeah.
You know,
Unless smart.
really confident men with egos, but really stupid.
Yeah, Eh,
Just violent. Pablo got it all from violence. He really
yeah,
did.
yeah. It, and to an extent, like I feel like like Tarantino just kind of tries to create like this sort of Pablo Escobar-ish kind of figure with Ordell, and
Yeah.
the crime boss that is supposed to be like in control of this mega business that he's got. Like chances are that he is the big one, the big guy in California in there that's controlling the weapons dealing, but because he has such a big ego, his crime organization is just unorganized as hell. Like
Oh shit. Yeah.
the fact that Beaumont gets caught, and and if you look at like the history of Pablo Escobar, the people who what's it called the people who would get caught for him, you fucking bail him out,
Hmm.
order the hit, get him killed inside prison. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what differentiates the whole crime boss in here, is that Ordell's like, nah, I want to be the one to kill him.
Well,
It's,
and you know, Ordell's not the one building the prisons though, like
yeah,
Pablo was.
yeah. And yet, what also differentiates him is the fact that Ordell is willing to go and be like, yeah, I killed Beaumont. It's like, are you serious? Are you
Keep your mouth
serious?
shut.
Why can't you keep your mouth shut?
I mean, and Jackie Brown personifies keeping her mouth shut.
Yeah, yeah. And you just like I said, like and you just look at the time period that this comes out, right? Look at the crime, the whole aura of the crime boss, and what it's supposed to be, the criminal. It's like he's supposed to be this collected man, and like, you know, Sam Jackson really does shake that up. His character shakes it up completely, and he's saying like, yo, these people who you think are supposed to be so powerful and supposed to be cool, calm, and collected, like they can be heavily flawed.
Yeah. And yeah, very much. I mean, this is more realistic portrayal of someone who's actually, dealing in illegal arms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's smart, and and that leads to like my big topic I wanted to talk about here because this whole movie is about betrayal. The only person who's not betrayed in this is what's it called, Max Cherry.
Yep.
Yeah, Max Cherry and Jackie Brown are the only ones who don't what's it called cross each other. Um, and of
And
course Julie.
that's why they come out on top.
Yeah, yeah, they come out on top, and they get this. So of course we have Ordell and Melanie. From the beginning, Melanie's already planning to get this guy. What's it called to get at this guy? But Melanie is just what's it called? She just lacks not just the intelligence, but like the resources to be able to take him down.
Yeah. I mean, and she, Ordell calls her his little surfer girl.
I'm
And
sorry, girl.
yeah, and all we really see from Melanie is she gets high and has sex.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
all she's really doing. She's not really has any more aspirations than that
yeah. But
that we're made aware of.
yeah. But she sure does talk a lot like she's ready to take this guy down any minute now. But she also recognized the fact that it's impossible to take him down.
I think it's more that she likes belittling them.
Yeah,
Because you look at that last scene with her and Lewis, and she's just walking through the parking lot and just giving Lewis so much shit, and you're like, that's not smart.
no,
Like the way Lewis has been acting for the past 20 to 30 minutes in this movie towards you,
yeah.
that
But
is
let's be
not
real,
smart,
Brad.
girl.
She belittles what's it called? She belittles Ordell to his face.
Yeah,
Ordell doesn't do shit. Doesn't
no.
slap her around. Doesn't tell her. He just yells at her.
And
So she probably thinks,
that's another Ordell's flaw is he doesn't keep good people around him, and the one he does keep, he fucking shoots.
yeah, and that's yeah. The other person, the other one who gets betrayed, Lewis. He
Yeah.
betrays Lewis. He kills
And
him.
Lewis was really the only one with like any loyalty to anyone,
Yeah,
other than Max Cherry to Jackie Brown.
yeah.
And I don't know if that was more loyalty or respect, but either or, I
Well,
guess.
I think that Max Cherry was a lot of like respect for her. He understood that she was a very strong woman who like obviously she was at a point where she can't make any more money because she can't work anywhere else. Like she has to do this, and she isn't doing it because she enjoys it. She's doing it because she has to.
Yeah,
And I think that's what she respects because I think Max sees that part in himself in the sense that like
he's
you
just
think I
doing,
want to be paying money to get some of these fuckers out of prison?
and then having to go find them and bring them
Yeah,
back. And I mean, after 15,000, I'm sure that shit gets old.
yeah. So he's probably like, you think I want to like do this job where I have to like take criminals out of there? Like, and yes, some of those criminals probably didn't do the crime and they're in there unjustly, but like in the way that the movie makes it seem is like, yeah, these guys are in there for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, and probably Max Sherry does see a lot of himself in that sense. But going back to it, yeah, Lewis is the only one that has any loyalty for Ordell. And he gets shot. He gets killed.
yeah. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's the people you surround yourself with, and let's be real here, you can't trust Ordell as far as you can throw him.
Yeah. And the only ones that he's able to kind of I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Sharonda and Simone are really like that loyal to him?
Well, we know Simone's not because she ran off with that 10 grand real quick.
Yup. Not at all, right?
She packed up her whole house and left for fucking 10 grand.
Yeah.
I'm like
nobody actually has anybody's interest in mind other than Max, Jackie, and Lewis.
yeah, no, Simone's gone, and Sharonda. I mean, as long as Ordell was giving her drugs, I'm sure Sharonda was.
Yeah. Well, that's the only one that
Didn't
he
even
can
know where she was
manipulate.
half the time.
Yeah. That's the only one who can manipulate because she's not in her right state of mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that scene where it's her and Jackie, and Jackie's like, "Are you hungry?" Like Jackie shows kindness
Yeah.
towards someone who's is basically Ordell's floor mat.
Yeah. And she's not mad that she showed up. She's just
No,
mad that he changed the plan on her.
yeah,
Like she feels empathy for Sharonda. And she's just like,
yeah,
"Oh wow, like this is the fucking person that Ordell's in, like, and to an extent, it makes her dislike Ordell even more.
Yeah, because not only is he manipulating, people in the right mind, he's manipulating and putting people on drugs.
Yeah, yeah. So those people, like that one's the only one, but that even then, that's just loyalty out of some sort of gain. There's
Yeah.
no actual loyalty there.
Now she gets to stay in Ordell's house in some manner and
Yeah.
gets drugs.
And then I don't know if I'd call it betrayal what Jackie does to Ordell, because from the beginning, Jackie is not working for Ordell. She's working
No,
with him to bring him down.
yeah, I don't. I think from Ordell's perspective, Jackie's screwing him over. But Jackie had made no indication before that she wanted to help Ordell. Not really.
Nope.
Jackie wanted to help Jackie get out of that situation. And if it had to be going to prison and getting 200 grand for however long she was in there, or if it was doing this shit for Ordell, Jackie was trying to get it over for Jackie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it ends up working for her because, and like, once again, we go back to the fact that this is where Ordell's flaws show him the most. It's like, probably thinks that, like, oh yeah, this is Jackie girl. She really wants to work for me. She wants to get to the. Even at certain parts, she's like, nah, man, don't worry. Like, Jackie's gonna get it going with us. Like, don't worry about it. We got it. I'm like, no, bro, you don't fucking get it. And even then, until the end, when he walks in, he's like, Jackie, what you doing in the dark, girl? And it's like,
dude,
you're really this fucking stupid. Like, you really gonna walk in there when you know that she's, what's it called?
And the thing is, he starts off in that scene so well because he has Max in front of him.
Yeah.
Which he's smart, and then he sees Jack. So this is the whole thing: is Ordell thinks he's smarter than Jackie, and he thinks he can intimidate Jackie. That's the whole thing, and that's
everybody thinks they can intimidate her.
Yeah,
police think they can intimidate her.
Yeah, and that's why he goes out into the doorway and leaves Max behind, and then the cops jump out and
boom. Which, by the way, I was reading some of the trivia here. Everybody else gets shot twice in this film. Beaumont gets shot twice. Lewis gets shot twice. Ordell's the only one who gets shot.
Melanie gets shot twice.
Shot twice. What's it called? Ordell's the only one who gets shot 3 times.
Oh, that was the police shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That might have been a commentary by Tarantino. I don't know.
Yeah, might have been, bro. They were like, no, we gotta make sure we get the extra one in here. But it's true, and it's like, and even then, he's like, he goes in there, right, and he's still willing to be like, oh, I'm smart. I'm gonna get the extra hand on her by acting like I don't know what's going on. When he should have just went in there, turned on the light, guns blazing, and been like, back up, sub.
No, I pulled Max in, had a gun to Max's head.
Yeah.
Turn the lights on, shoot Jackie, and
yeah,
guns blazing, like you said.
Yeah, but Ordell doesn't.
What happened. That's Ordell's a great villain, but he's flawed.
Yeah,
and that's his flaw. Is his confidence and his fucking ego.
Yep. And so the police, what's it called, kill him, right? But the police still let her keep some of the unmarked bills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's such an interesting part, because and I know I have one last topic here, because I wanted to kind of make this connection here to what's it called, to Pulp Fiction, but I wanted to bring up the police one before we do that. The police, they are the ones who try the most to intimidate Jackie.
Yes. No.
And she ain't having it.
In the garage. I mean, in the garage, you can feel like they were just popping out of nowhere and demanding her bag. And then in the station, they're
they're
telling her she can't smoke. And yeah, they're just being pricks, really.
Yeah. And then even then, she's able to get to Michael Keaton's character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she tells someone that I think it's Max, that she thinks Ray's into her.
Yeah. Yeah. She does. And once again, and I know I've been saying it a lot here, but when do you ever see that? When did you ever see this woman who's obviously not flaunting herself or anything? She's just simply being the strong character that she is, and she's getting to these people who are supposed to be like the most collected people. They're the ones who who are providing justice all over America and making sure that people are safe, and they're falling under the gaze of Jackie
Just
Brown
Jackie Brown's whole character and
and
the
Aura.
way she just holds herself and just that aura and just, you know,
It's so
just
infectious.
everything. I mean, you said it too, that her swagger,
Yeah, she
um,
oozes it.
just oozes throughout the film, and you are drawn to this character, and you're like, this is the lead.
Yeah,
This is the lead of this whole movie, and that's with characters with Robert Forster, Samuel Jackson, De Niro, Keaton, and it's Pam Grier's Jackie Brown that steals the show.
yeah, and it's like you and I like I think about it like in the sense of noirs, right? Like it's obvious that she's the femme fatale,
Yeah,
and she's the fatal woman, but she isn't the one who, because like normally in those films like she'd be also suffering the fate there where she'd be the one who's on the receiving end of the backlash, but in this movie like she ends up on top
well,
at
and
the end.
I think she uses all of her attributes there, and she doesn't manipulate Max,
Mm-mm.
but she manipulates those cops.
Yup, 100 fucking percent,
100%
100%.
there.
And I love that ending, man. And I tells her like, I hope you thought I wasn't leading you on, and like, and to and at first, and like, in a moment, like you do start to believe, like, yeah, I think Max Cherry's really thinking about it. I think he wants to leave with her.
Well, especially I mean, and you know, in a normal kind of movie like that, you get Max just putting the phone down, and Jackie hasn't left yet,
Yeah,
and he catches her. But no, Jackie's on her way, and then Max kind of just puts the phone down and kind of goes to the back just to, I don't know,
yeah.
think or ponder or
I think he realizes that she doesn't need him.
ah
I think he realizes that. He's just
yeah,
like, look at all that she did about her leading the charge. Like, that woman ain't looking for a man. Like
no,
that woman's
that's
just,
true.
yeah, that woman's just like she's got life by the balls. Like,
And maybe that's why he makes the decision to not pursue her,
yeah, he's just like, yeah, it's just,
because she isn't one to be pursued.
yeah,
She's the pursuer.
yeah, yep. Hey, she still got to kiss her.
Hey, and
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty good kissing scene. I was
yeah,
like, okay, okay, Robert Forster, I see you.
yeah. Now, uh, I wanted to bring up this last part, and it's just like something I noticed, Brad, because like we it's different from Pulp Fiction, but like in Pulp Fiction, we obviously have the case, right? We never see what's inside the case. We just see that it's glowing like gold.
Gold and yeah,
Yeah. But throughout this whole film, like throughout that film, that case is what's causing most of the trouble, right?
hmm
And Jackie Brown in this film does ask a really good question, and it's kind of what makes you start thinking like, is Max gonna cross her? Because he asked her like, if you had all that money and nobody was looking, wouldn't you run off with it? And like to an extent, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I would. Wouldn't even fucking double what's it called? Wouldn't even think twice. You leave me with all this smuggling money, I'm getting out.
yeah.
The police ain't looking
Because
for me; they're looking for fucking Ordell.
yeah,
But I,
but I think that I think Max Cherry is written, and he's a man of his word.
yep,
Because I don't remember this man ever lying. He doesn't lie to fucking Ordell. Hell, he brings 10,000 to Ordell when Ordell wants to kill him.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, I just think, and that's why I think Max Cherry and Jackie Brown are kind of drawn to each other. They're both um this these people with character,
Yeah.
and who are I'll say it, they're necessarily good on the inside for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. And I think you get that from Max Cherry is, this man never lied once during this film.
Yeah. And he's got a good head on his shoulder.
Yeah. And he even only takes 10%, which is his bond fee. Which Jackie's like, you sure you don't want more? And Max like, nah, that's my usual fee. I'm just like, okay, that was funny.
Yeah, it's funny. But I wanted to bring that up because it's such an interesting like play to Pulp Fiction, where it's like you have this item that's supposed to be the biggest temptation, and like even in Pulp Fiction, like there's some characters who just don't even give a shit about that case, even though that
Yeah.
case is causing so much trouble in that film. There's one that's just like Bruce Willis in that film. He doesn't give a shit about what's in that shit.
No, I mean honestly, no. And yeah, Max Cherry. I think that's just Max's character. It's just how he's written.
Yeah.
It's he doesn't care about anything except who he is and how he lays his head down at the end of the night.
Yeah. You have anything else you wanted to bring up from the film that we probably didn't bring up?
I mean, we
Kind
could
of.
always. I thought it was an interesting comment Ordell made on when he asked Max Cherry whose idea it was to take picture with him and Winston.
It was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny
I,
too.
I think there's comedic parts in this that are very funny.
Yeah.
Um,
It was that was really funny. I gotta
yeah,
admit, that was really
I mean,
funny.
and it was, and you think about it, you're like, I wouldn't have thought about that if Sam Jackson character hadn't said anything about that. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, Max probably wanted to take that picture.
Yep. Bro, it's probably one of the better parts of his time working there. You're just like, oh shit, I met this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's a really cool dude, and he can find people. Awesome.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, we could. I think for the little amount of screen time Chris Tucker is in this movie, fuck, he's good.
Yeah. Well, he
It's
was.
just that whole conversation about him getting in a trunk.
Yeah.
Just that whole that is awesome dialogue throughout this movie. That's one of the best dialogue scenes.
And
In
what's
this
funny
movie.
is that it's the last part that convinces him that he was gonna take him out for dinner. He was
Yeah,
gonna get him food.
yeah, he's going to take him to Roscoe's.
Yeah. You fucking idiot.
He brought up the red beans and rice and the collard greens, and Chris Tucker got right into that damn.
He was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll do that, bro."
I mean, granted, I've been like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
probably would have
probably.
done that same thing, but yeah. But it was pretty funny. I was like, "That's what convinced you?"
Yeah, sometimes that's all it takes is
Red beans and
when a
rice and
man's
collard greens.
when a man's been grilled by the cops for like
Mm.
2 days, get a little Roscoe's.
I probably would have done it for the red beans and rice. Not really the collard greens. I'm not a big fan of greens, but
I would have had it for the whole meal
yeah, yeah,
with red beans and rice. So,
red beans and rice.
I don't know. I think we've touched on pretty much all these
Yeah,
characters and
it's
just
such a
how
great movie, man. It's such
this
a great movie.
cast.
And I wish that it gets brought up more. And it's such a well made movie. It's such a well thought out film that like it really, like I said, and it all goes back to like just how great of a writer he is, that he's able to tackle a book and he's able to probably get the gist of what it is, but be able to change it to fit the styles that Tarantino loves of
And
movies.
I think people miss it when they don't watch this movie. Is you're right. You can his dialogue in Reservoir Dogs
It's a little
is
faster,
different.
yeah.
It's faster. It's still Tarantino like we're used to what they're saying because sometimes they're bullshitting. But the further you go, when you hit Jackie Brown, the dialogue starts to get better. Like
Mm-hmm.
like he's found a rhythm there where he's slowed it down slightly. I mean, you get to like Inglorious Bastards or you get to Django, and so just speaking on Tarantino's dialogue, I mean, I think that's always been what's put him above a lot of other directors is the man can write dialogue and he can write it better than most people.
Yeah.
Because Tarantino always gets the like, oh, you steal from this movie and this movie and this movie and this movie. And again, it comes back to yeah, you can steal from every movie, but if you can't put it together with a good script and dialogue, what's the fucking point?
Yeah. Yeah. And he shows it here. And like I just say like I said, like if the movie critic is his last one, then like I just wish he would have adapted another book.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you in our messages, like I really would have liked to have seen him adapt those other two books. Because
Yeah,
I'm like,
especially since he had those picked out for adaptation. That would have been
yeah,
really cool to see.
yeah,
But I think it comes to I don't think Jackie Brown did as well in the box office as his other films.
yeah,
And this was back during, and I hate to bring up the name, the Weinstein era.
yeah,
And so I'm sure the Weinsteins were like, yeah, why don't you just go back to, some like more violent shit?
yeah, yeah. But hey, we got it, and it ended up being a great film, and it's just his most underrated, one of his best for sure.
Yeah.
I ended this, and I was like, damn, I'd like to rewatch this again.
And it's one of the more brighter Tarantino films. Just the colors, it just pops.
Oh yeah, so much.
Can't wait for this in 4K. So
Me too. Brad, where can the people find you?
Um, just go follow us at the Nerdcore.
Okay.
Go
Yeah, that's
watch
true.
go watch videos at the Nerdcore.
Yeah, nerdcore.com, youtube.com/the
Go to our
nerdcore.
Patreon at patreon.com/the Nerdcore.
Damn straight. Damn straight.
Why am I
And
plugging me? That's where I'm at.
yeah, that's where Brad lives most of the time.
I live there.
He'll be back for the season finale when we discuss the last film of the season, and that's going to be some good stuff. But until then, you won't see Brad until the last episode. And just we'll watch what we're doing over at the Nerdcore, and you'll see where everything that we're doing over there.
Yeah. And thank you, Raul, for having me back again for, is this the 5th time?
Yeah,
You
fifth
figure that
time,
out?
bro. It's going to be
5th
six
time.
at the end, at the last
Yeah,
one.
I'm glad we got to talk about one of my favorite movies from Tarantino. One, definitely the most underrated.
For sure. And you can find me at the Nerd Chicano on both Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Letterboxd, Serialized, and on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content that drops on the channel. Make sure you're leaving a 5-star review on the podcast feed for this podcast. It would really help out a lot. You can also check out the Nerdcore, like Brad said there. If you want this episode early before anybody else gets to watch it, or you can also, get some exclusives like video essays, you can go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/thenerdchicano, get access to that cool stuff. And yeah, you get a lot of cool free access and to early access, and you get video essays. I still need to work on my next one, but yeah, there's 2 right now. So if you want to go watch those 2, you guys can go and check that out by going to patreon.com/thenerdchicano. And yeah, I'm not telling you all what's next, but yeah, we'll see each other again. But for now, thank you, Brad, for coming on. It was a great time. And who am I kidding? I'll see you on the next next time we review for the Nerdcore. And
Which is what, Monday?
Monday, probably. Yeah, Monday. But we'll see Brad again for the season finale. So that's going to be some good stuff as we keep on waiting for that conversation. But for now, to my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all next one, guys. Bye-bye.